Alright, today's section is on called rewriting equations. So it's a concept that we'll need down the road in a few different places, but so it'll have two letters in them. I think I did a separate worksheet because I wanted to kind of focus on something that the book didn't focus on as much, but they'll all have X's and Y's, and on one side of the worksheet it's going to say solve for Y, and on the other side of the worksheet it's going to say solve for X. So we'll do some solve for Y. So at the end of the problem you want to have Y equals and then whatever else is over there. So it's pretty much the same process for each problem. So we talked about I need to move this 2x and I need to move the 3, and then the y will be by itself. So we talked about in another section, I think it was the third one, if you want to move, so I need to move the 2 and the x. If you want to move a number and a variable, you're going to add or subtract. So in this case, I'm going to subtract. And on some it might happen, but most I can't do 6 minus 2x. I can't combine a number with something that has a variable. It has to be the same variable, or they both have to be just numbers. So there's nothing to combine together there. And what I'd like you to do, and it'll become evident down the road, the x part comes first. Okay, technically it's not wrong if you wrote 6 minus 2x, but I want the x to be first. Okay, and then we're going to divide by 3 because I want the y to stay there. So if I add or subtract, then the whole thing's going. And I'm going to do each one separately. So I get y over here, and then I can't do anything with that, so it's just negative 2/3 x, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Excuse me. Okay? So this, kind of what we're practicing, this is something that is going to be very useful to us down the road. Okay? So kind of erase this over here. You could have some that you can solve for y, so I need to move the 2 and I need to move the minus 7. Okay? So I always do the y part last. So if we follow our steps, I'm going to do adding and subtracting before anyway. So in this problem, I do have something to combine with the numbers. And then divide by 2. So 3 over 2x plus 6. Okay. Alright. So now it's not really any different, but let's do some solve for x. So they're going to start off the same way in terms of the look of the problem. Okay, so let's do something that you'll see a couple of. Excuse me. Okay, so solve for x. That means I want x equal, like somewhere down here, I want x equal something. Okay, so that means I got to get the x's on the same side. So I notice I have a 5x and a 2x. And we talked about in the third section, when you have x's on both sides, you want to move the smaller x to the other side. So in this one, I want to move the 2x. And really the reason behind that is when I combine them, I get a positive 3 right there, and that's just typically easier to deal with. All right. So then I got the x's on the left, so that means I need to move the y to the right. And on these ones, it doesn't matter the order. So if you want to put negative 3y minus 6, if you want to put negative 6 minus 3y, that's fine. Okay, and then one last thing, divide by 3. And we get x equals negative 3 and positive 3 make negative 1. Remember, we don't have to write the 1. Technically, there's a 1 right here. If you write it, I won't mark it wrong, but you won't see it in the book like that. And negative 6 divided by 3, ooh, I didn't want to do the green, minus 2. Okay. So it's not really any different because you're doing x versus y. It's just what you're moving. Okay. All right. So let's look at one more. Do slightly easier, faster one. Okay, so solve for x. So I need to add 5y over here. And again, you could put 7 plus 5y also, whichever you like. Okay, so then I would need to divide by 2. Now, if you notice, I can't do 5 divided by 2 or 7 divided by 2. So you can write your answer in two ways. You can write it like this, or you can write it, forgot the y, as like kind of one big fraction. There's not really a this way's better or that way's better situation. So, okay. So you'll have a worksheet, like I said, that half the problems, or all, the problems on one side say solve for x, the problems on the other side say solve for y. So pay attention to that so that you're not solving all of them for y or all of them for x. Okay, but there really isn't any thing tricky or weird if you follow these steps on the video. You should be good to go. Okay, all right, have a great afternoon, and we will see you tomorrow.